Oi, gente! Bem-vinda ao podcast Inglês na Austrália. Estou muito feliz hoje porque hoje eu tenho minha primeira convidada, é minha amigona Mari. Mari é minha professora de português. Eu faço aulas 2 vezes com ela durante a semana. E vocês não sabem, mas ela me ajudou muito como podcast, porque vocês não sabem, talvez, mas eu sempre fico muito nervosa antes do podcast. Hoje eu sinto muito melhor porque eu tenho alguém comigo e nós vamos falar. E...
Hoje quem está nervosa sou eu.
Isso. Sim, estou muito feliz de ter a Mari aqui comigo, porque nós conversamos muito. Tipo, nós fazemos 2 aulas por semana em português, e uma dessas aulas nós decidimos falar do podcast porque é com ela que eu discuto todas as minhas ideias. E uma vez nós tivemos outra conversa que eu achei muito interessante, e isso me deu a ideia de trazer ela pelo podcast para conversar sobre isso de novo, porque eu achei tão interessante. Mari vai explicar um pouco do jornada dela na Austrália, mas faz tempo que ela está na Austrália. Ela aprende muitas coisas aqui, e ela vai divulgar isso para vocês. Mas o que foi mais interessante para mim foi uma conversa sobre dinheiro aqui. Ela trouxe para mim como, sendo na Austrália, mudou o relacionamento dela com dinheiro. E eu achei isso muito interessante. Eu queria trazer essa história para vocês. Então, é isso. Vamos trocar para inglês, que vai ser interessante, porque nós nunca conversamos no inglês, nós sempre em
Sim.
português. Mas sim, é isso. Welcome, Maddie.
Thank you. Today I'm the one feeling a bit nervous. Yeah, we were talking about the difference of how Brazilians deal with money and how Australians deal with money. Like there's like a massive contrast. It's very different. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my background just so you can understand how, I'm here in Australia now. I've been teaching English and Portuguese for, I think, around 20 years. And I've been living in Australia for 9 years. So before I came to Australia, I was already teaching. I was an English teacher and I had been teaching for like 10, 11 years. And the reality in Brazil is you work a lot, but the pay doesn't reflect the relentless workload. So let's say you teach 7, 8 hours a day, but as Ella knows, you don't work just the 7, 8 hours. The planning goes into it, like everything you do, like correcting homework, planning classes. It's like you work a lot. But I just never felt like I had money. Even after a long month where I felt like I was working so many hours, I was working a lot all the time, and I still needed my parents to be my safety net. So it gets to a point where you start feeling a bit frustrated. And that's when I was like, I'm gonna try something new. My first plan was to go to Canada, but then one of my best friends, she decided to come to Australia, and I was like, you know what? I can do the same. The weather is similar to the weather we have in Brazil, and I'll have a friend. So I changed my plans and I decided to come to Australia. And something important is I was a single mother in Brazil. So moving to another country was a massive decision for me because the stress I felt about money wasn't just because of me. I had someone who fully depended on me, and I always thought if something happens to my parents, like I have nowhere to go to, I have nothing. I had savings, but they were just ridiculous because I didn't have a lot of money in Brazil. So that's how I decided to come to Australia. And that happened in 2017.
Wow. Wow. I'm still blown away by like the bravery it takes to move to a
It
completely
was
different
hard.
country. Yeah.
It was hard. I think I wasn't scared of going to another country, of moving to another country. I think I was scared of leaving my son behind while I was here because I didn't want to bring him with me straight away. Because I was like, I don't even know if life's gonna be good, if I'm going to be able to afford a life for myself. It's like I can't bring a child into it, you know? So it was tense. It was a mix of like I was super excited, but also a little worried and stressed.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you know people in Australia?
Nope. No
Wow.
one. No one. And in my mind, everyone told me that, oh, you think you know English, but when you get there, things are going to be very different. The accent is, like you're not going to understand what they're saying. But I was pretty confident with my English. So I wasn't scared of the language barrier, which I think it's what most immigrants are scared of when they move to another country. And when I arrived in Australia, it was actually quite funny in a way because I just fell in love with the country straight away and I felt like I fit in perfectly and I was like, this is my place. And I
Cool.
could understand everyone. It was easy for me to make friends, to work. I know that my story as an immigrant is very different from most people because when I came to Australia, I spoke the language. I was already fluent. So I didn't struggle to find a job. I didn't struggle to connect, with people. So it was easy in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was easy.
Oh, I got goosebumps when you said you just like found your place because that's
I
it's
did,
just
yeah.
so nice.
And and the feeling of like this is my place was, I would say, 90% because of how safe I felt here.
Yeah.
In Brazil, like I had phones stolen before. It's like the violence is a real thing. And because bad things had happened to me in Brazil, when I arrived here and they were like simple things, very simple things like, oh my God, I can go to this place that I've never been and I can actually have my phone on my hand with the GPS because I'm not scared of just having my phone for everyone to see. And I can even listen to music while I'm doing it because I can be a little bit distracted. I'm not scared, In Brazil, you're kind of alert, especially if you have your phone with you. So I think it was just this massive shift in like being alert all the time to just like, whew, I'm
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
I can breathe, and yeah. I was like, this is a place where I can see myself and I can see my son growing up here as well. It's a safe place. So it felt really good.
It's so nice. It's so nice to hear that. And yeah, I'm just glad. I'm like a little proud of Australia moment being like, ah, yay, my country gave that. Because Brazil gave me so much as well. So it's
Oh, I
nice
love
to hear.
Brazil. When I talk about Brazil, it's never like I absolutely love Brazil. And
Hmm.
I love how warm Brazilians are. I miss Brazilian food so much.
Hmm. Me
I
too.
miss the parties. I miss my family. I miss my friends. Our culture is so rich. I feel like Brazil has just, it's a wonderful country. I just feel like I found a safe place for me. And back then, in that moment of my life, that was important for me to make that decision of like, all right, I'm really gonna try and make my life here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. So, yes, tell me a little bit about Brazil, how you felt first in Brazil, especially towards money, and how you felt when you first arrived here in relationship with
Okay.
money, because you had to bring your son, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I left my son for a year and a half in Brazil, and I was just trying to build my life here. I came on a student visa. So my life in Brazil, as I said before, was just like always worried about money. It's like you feel guilty about spending money because you feel like, oh, I should be saving this because I need to plan for the future. So there was always this guilt when it came to like spending money. Even with things you like, with silly things, it doesn't matter. You feel guilty about spending money because you feel like I want to enjoy life, but I also need to save. So when I came to Australia, I still had that mindset, right? I had this kind of like a hyper vigilant, like survival mode mindset, you know? And because I brought my money, I was still like converting like the money, like reais to Australian dollars. So it was scary. The first year was scary. So if you think I was stressed in Brazil, my first year in Australia, I was probably even more because I came on a student visa. So I had to pay high tuition fees. I had to plan for to renew my visa and all of this health insurance, all these things they pile up. So students, I think students are not stressed with money because they want to. It is actually the reality of what it's like to be on a student visa. My relationship with money changed a lot once I became a permanent residency because I didn't have to worry about paying for my school. I didn't have to worry about saving for another visa. And this is like a lot of money we're talking about. So all of a sudden you're like, now I can actually save. So you do feel like you can breathe and relax a little bit more. But my first year in Australia, I was saving every cent. I went to Woolies, Coles, Aldi, and I was checking the price tags. I was just worried about every cent. I think I even told you a story that now when I think about it, I laugh a lot. But I feel like for most students, they might recognize the situation, like see themselves in this situation. My first year, my school, we had this like, it was like a catalog with lots of like vouchers, like discounts. And for like months, I got Hungry Jack's vouchers, and it was a 2 for 1 deal. And I remember it was like a chicken roll, like something. It was like a big burger, a big chicken schnitzel thing, right? And that was my lunch and also my dinner because it was a 2 for 1 deal. And it was $3. And I was so proud that I was only spending 150 for each meal of the day, like lunch and dinner. I was like, oh my God, I can save a lot doing this. Now when I look back, I'm like, this is so absurd. You know, like I wasn't eating well. I was doing everything I could just thinking about saving money.
Yeah.
Now when I go to do grocery shopping in general, like I buy what I want, what I like. My
Mhm.
first year, no, it was like tuna and like pasta because it was cheap. Wraps, the Hungry Jack's vouchers, that went on for months, by the way. I mean, I did like Hungry Jack's, so it wasn't that much of a sacrifice. But still, I was only eating that for like every single day from Monday to Friday, you know?
Oh my gosh.
So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
so if you ask me like when you came to Australia, that was the mindset, survival mode, saving money, you know? I still had a great time because I was able to go out with friends and do a lot. But there was a massive difference is that like I was going to places where I didn't have to pay to get in. They were like free places. So I just had to worry about maybe like doing a pre-game, a warm-up if I wanted to have a few beers. I would drink at home because that was cheaper. So when I got to the pub or to the party, I didn't have to spend so much money, you know, with like alcohol or eating. So
Mhm.
yeah, I had everything kind of like planned and it was all like saving money was the main goal. Saving
Yeah.
money was the main goal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, did this all kind of change when you got your permanent residency, or was there anything else that went into this
Oh, yeah.
relaxing?
There was something else that happened. So I was here for about a year and I met my husband. He's Australian. Mind you, his view of money was completely different from mine. If I was super worried and like survival mode, just have to save every penny, he was the very opposite. Like just enjoy life and just do whatever you feel like doing. We were opposites. Opposites. So he had no savings. He was just, you know, just kind of like going with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Australia, you work a lot, but you get paid well, so you can have a comfortable life. In Brazil, even if you work a lot, sometimes you can barely pay the basic, which was kind of my life as a teacher. I did live comfortably because I lived with my parents, but if I didn't have my parents, I would have been like struggling quite a lot. So yeah, I think my first clash when I think about how like I started changing my relationship with money was first with just having a relationship with someone with such different views on that. And he didn't understand why I was so stressed. But then I was like, do you have to save to pay for a school? Do you have to save to renew a visa? Do you have to save enough to get your own place to bring your son? Like he had no kids. So in a way, I think he understood more what it's like to worry about money, to plan for the future. But I feel like I also started relaxing a little bit more in terms of like maybe every now and then I can do something that I like. I don't have to be so paranoid about, oh my God, I can't spend, I can't spend. So I think in a way we both balanced each other, and that was really important for me because it got to a point where my anxiety about it was just it was unhealthy. It was
Hmm.
unhealthy. So I think that was the first time I started like shifting this mindset to a bit more of a relaxed vibe. It wasn't like completely relaxed, but I was like, okay, okay, I don't have to, be so strict
Yeah.
with like my budget and how I live my life.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I kind of experienced the opposite going to Brazil. Like I came from this from I come from I'm born into privilege really, being born Australian and I come from a well-off family and I just didn't really think about money basically at all, which is actually such a privileged thing to be able to say that I just didn't really think about money. Like just didn't really come into my thoughts very much because I just had enough, like almost always. And like I was not a crazy spender or I just didn't actually think about it, which is so crazy. And then I got to Brazil and I just realized how much people talked about money all the time. Like how much everything costs. And it just started to dawn on me that I've never had to think about this, which is yeah,
And you had a boyfriend who was Brazilian, right?
yes.
Do you feel like your point of view and his point of view were very different as well?
Yes. Yes. Cuz yeah, even in Australia I started to see how he would like look at the price of things and always look for the cheaper option or want to go to a different shop if something was too expensive or um, something like that, which is something that I'd never really thought of. I just got what I wanted. And it, yeah. So then me going to Brazil, I started to, like living with him and his family, I started to notice thoughts popping up into my head of like noticing things were expensive or noticing things were like a good deal and being like, oh, we can get this because it's a good deal. And
Like
actually
things
just,
you never had to worry about before, right?
yeah, yeah. And even just being in the environment just made me adopt these thoughts into my brain when, and feeling, also starting to feel guilty about spending money. And it was really interesting. My grandma used to love to take me shopping in Australia. And I remember coming back to Australia and going shopping with her, into a store, and I just couldn't spend. I just couldn't buy anything. Like after coming back from Brazil, just thinking like it's something I I don't know if
Like
it's
I
really
cannot justify spending money on this because this is not something I need.
yeah yeah it's just completely recreational and just because it brings a little bit of joy, like I don't
Yeah.
like I just couldn't do it at the time and I've been watching myself like relax more and more being back in Australia, being like, oh, I want a new gym outfit. I'm going to buy it. But like it took a while for me to be able to spend again in a relaxed way. So it's really
Uh-huh.
interesting how your environment like can shape the way.
Shapes you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Look, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the mix of both worlds, they can create like the perfect balance. You can't be too carefree, not planning for the future and just living in the moment, because that can be irresponsible sometimes. But you can't also like never do anything for yourself and just feel guilty about spending money. I feel like there's like a mix of both, that it's like live a comfortable life, travel and do things you enjoy, but of course, have some sort of self control
Yeah.
and plan for the future as well.
Yeah. Totally. I remember one thing you said to me once and it stuck with me because I found it was so interesting. What was it? It was something like Australians work to live or Australians no, our money works
It
for
was
us.
it was about how money, it's like I feel like in Brazil, wait, I know what you're talking about. In Brazil, I felt like I was serving money rather than having money serve me, which
Yes.
is how I feel in Australia. It's like in Brazil, I was a slave to the system, to like money. But in here, money does things to me. It's a tool for life. It's not something, a source of fear anymore. In Brazil, it was a source of fear. And in Australia, I feel like money is a tool
Yeah.
that I use to have a good life. Mind you, I am not rich. I don't own a house, but I have a very comfortable life. And if I want to travel, I will, which is now I'm going into the second you mentioned, like what made you change. First, it was meeting my husband because he's just the way he lived his life was very different from the way I lived my life. But it was also when I became a permanent resident.
Hmm.
I think I had been living in Australia for 7 years when that happened. And you know when all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I don't have to save money to pay for like health insurance and another visa. Like I don't need to worry about these things anymore. It's like, it takes some time for you to get used to this idea of like there's like a new sense of like freedom. It's like, oh my God. So this my money is actually my money now. Like it was a good feeling. And I think when that happened, I started to just look around and like my friends who were here, some of my students, they were all traveling and enjoying life and going to places and seeing new things and I was like in the 7 years that I've been living here, I I've barely traveled. I was like I was just working, 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 saving money, saving money, saving money, and that was my life. And I was like, this is a sad way of living your life. Like the best years of your life, when you're like the healthiest, the strongest, I'm just working. I'm not like doing anything with the free time I have, with the money I have. So I think that's when I saw like another shift in myself, in how my relationship with money. I
Yeah.
think that was the second big change.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you came back to Australia, did you feel like you saw that change, like another change again?
Yeah. Yeah. I felt it was kind of slow. Yeah, kind of slow and also yeah, just had little moments of wanting something and almost feeling guilty, but feeling kind of almost a little bit like rebellious in myself, being like, I think I'm gonna buy this just because I want it. I don't know if I can do this. Okay, I bought it. Ooh, like, and then being happy and then just allowing that and just like letting go. It's like small little actions of like, exposing myself to just feeling like, it's okay. I
And it's
can
a good
have,
feeling to buy
yeah,
something you want, right?
yeah,
Sometimes it's like it's something simple and you don't need to like have 20 arguments. You don't have to make like a pros and cons list for everything you buy. Sometimes you just want that because it's gonna make you happy. It's,
yeah,
just do it. Just do
yeah,
it.
yeah, totally. And now, like now that you feel more relaxed, like do you think that really influences your well-being, or like do you feel more?
100%. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. I feel happier. I feel less stressed. I feel less anxious. But the sacrifices, they paid off because in 1 year and a half, I was saving every cent, but I was able to go from living in shared houses to getting my own apartment, bringing my son to live with me. So I still look back and I don't regret anything because it paid off. The sacrifices paid off. Like I was able to do the things I had planned because of how disciplined I was with the money I had.
yeah,
But now I still feel like I have that same discipline. I'm just a little bit more laid back and relaxed, and I just live life in a more memorable way. I do
beautiful.
things that I want and I do things that I enjoy.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I love that. It's like now you've lived these two realities and you can now hold both and you can make a decision. It's not run by fear, but it's also
Yes.
not just completely relaxed as well. It's like now now I can see the Australian way and the Brazilian way and I can choose what's the right what I want to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes if I have like a goal and it's like super important for me, then I'm like, yeah, I know how to save money and I know how to budget. And it's like, I know how to do it. But sometimes I'm like, all right, that was my goal, accomplished it. Now I want to travel and spend money on something for myself or something I like. I'm not going to feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
I know how to balance both things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I think I feel the same. I feel so grateful for my experience in Brazil and of understanding. I think being in Brazil taught me more to value money more, or like the value of money, which is an important lesson. But I'm glad as well that while I can see that perspective, I'm just feel happy to as well go on holidays, live my life. Um, and yeah,
And
sometimes
in general, do you feel like because you had that experience, do you feel like, oh, now I can see how lucky, how privileged I am, and I can actually even enjoy spending this money in a way that I didn't get to see before?
yes, totally, totally, totally. Like I think about it so much how, yeah, just how lucky I am. And like I think sometimes I saw people in Brazil that were in hard situations, but they still were so grateful because they could see people that had less than them. And like they would say things like, I've got a roof over my head, I've got my family, I'm happy. And in Australia, I feel like sometimes Australians look to people that have more compared to people that have more a lot. And it's a generalization, it's not always
They
true.
take the simple things for granted.
We take the simple things for granted, totally.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And Brazil,
I think this is something that I also noticed in the people around me, but I didn't see it as like, oh my God, they don't see what they have in like a bad way, like they were doing that on purpose. I realized that it was just a cultural thing. It's like you had to go to Brazil to see that other side.
mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes we don't see things from a different perspective because we don't have access to that other perspective.
Yeah.
So living in both countries were super important for me and for how I changed the way I lived my life throughout the last years. Like it was very important for me. And I do not take anything for granted because I know how lucky I am. I know how lucky I am to not feel guilty anymore to spend money and to just have a good life in a country where I feel safe. I still get to, like, if I can go to Brazil and see my family and friends and also have a good time there. And now I feel even less guilty if I have to spend money because I get paid in Australian dollars. If I travel to another country, that means I'll be spending like less in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So nice. Was it hard to let go of this, like, did it cause clashes in your relationship that were hard? Like,
Yes, yes. I feel like there was a point, COVID. When COVID hit, I was like getting a bit more chill, more relaxed when it comes to like when it came to money back then. But when COVID hit, I lost my job and I just went back to being like the little ball of stress. It was just, it was hard. And my relationship struggled with that as well because my husband was the only one working. And it was great that he was an essential worker back then. So he had his job and he didn't have to worry about it. But because I was let go and no one was hiring back then, I was applying for jobs and I just couldn't get anyone to hire me. Everyone was losing their jobs, right? Everything was super uncertain. So I was just not flexible at all when it came to spending money because all the savings they were going to paying bills because we had only one source of income. And the worst part is that the savings we had to start using the savings, but those savings were to renew my visa. And in my head, I was like, I'm gonna have to go back. I have a life here with someone I love. My son is here. He loves the country as well. His life is here. And all of a sudden, everything was falling apart. I had to start going to therapy with my husband. So we went through a phase where it was hard for both of us because I was extremely stressed. He was extremely stressed because he was working a lot to bring more money in. So he was doing overtime like crazy. I was applying for other jobs like crazy. And I feel like the way I was living life in survival mode was like full on again. I was in survival mode again. So we did have some problems in our relationship because of that. Because when you're extremely stressed, it's also harder for you to take a step back and learn how to communicate about how you're feeling because you're both in survival mode. So everyone is stressed, everyone is angry, everything is just harder. So we needed therapy to navigate that moment together in a way that wasn't destructive.
mm-hmm.
But because we decided to do therapy, yeah, we're all right.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
And eventually I got a job and things got better again.
Yeah. 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 Sometimes therapy, you just need to both hear each other properly. And if you're too stressed to hear the other person, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you had arguments with that boyfriend back then because of the same issues like with money?
I think I struggled because I almost felt like traveling or experiences like that were needed for my well-being. And like there was times in Brazil that I really just wanted to like do something, to travel, to do something on the weekend. And he didn't want to because of money, because it was expensive. And I I kind of adopted that as well. Like I almost didn't do things because because of that, like wouldn't even like really communicate it. I would just already shut down that possibility of traveling or doing something because I knew he wouldn't
Like I
want.
would love to do this, but nah, it's too expensive. Not even gonna mention.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah, I felt like, and there was one conversation I where I think I brought it up, and he said like, look at all the people around that aren't traveling, and like you've already traveled at this like during at New Year's time, like look at all the people that aren't traveling, and it just made me be like, oh, I'm the like this is the Australian part of me, and I have to kind of know that I'm in the Brazilian reality now, so I can't. And but it just kind of, I think kind of, it did really affect me in terms of my feelings of freedom, my feelings of like I'm not living my life or I'm not enjoying life, and I can't enjoy my life fully in this relationship because he doesn't want to spend money, where I feel like these are some things that I actually need to feel like I'm living my life. So it was, yeah, it was a
It's
point of
it's it's
tension.
interesting because I completely understand him because I had that same feeling towards money. But the thing that I love the most about Australians is exactly what you're describing, how your well-being is important. I feel like in Brazil, we are brought up to just sacrifice and give and worry about the basic needs, like having a roof over your head, having food on the table, like paying the bills. This is like the priority, right? But I absolutely love how in Australia you get to do that, but you also get to worry about, okay, after I pay the bills and I have food on the table, in the fridge, whatever it is, what's important now to make me happy? We don't question ourselves this in Brazil, at least not enough. Some people might do that. And you know what? Maybe one of the reasons why we love a party in Brazil is because this is the escape we have from the pressure of just having to handle life and everything is working and saving and paying bills. But when we get the chance to be with friends and party and do something fun, we do that. But in Australia, you do more than that. You're like, maybe I need to, I don't know, I'm gonna start Pilates. I am gonna travel on the weekend to this nice, cozy cabin in the middle of nowhere because I just want to reset and just, come back on Monday to a fresh start, feeling fully relaxed. In Brazil, I never did these things.
Yeah.
And I love how you have this way of looking after yourself because your well being is just as important as paying the bills. I think this is beautiful. It's like mental health is important, being happy is important.
Yeah. It's so interesting, hey, because yeah, being inside that relationship, I felt kind of restricted in that way, and I almost couldn't handle it. It was too much for me to try to adapt out of it. But yeah, I love that perspective, and it seems like you've adopted that as well. Like your well-being is
Oh,
now
yes.
important in
It's
that
my
way.
top priority. If I'm not okay, I can't be my best version for other people as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I need to be happy. I need to be okay, to be a good mother, to be a good partner, to be a good teacher, to be a good friend. I need to be okay.
Yeah. 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 And I guess money or things like that can just is just one of the tools that can, as you said, serve that. If yeah, if it's not fear based.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I did have my safety net.
Yeah.
I had a comfortable life with my parents, but it was just like it was their money. It wasn't my money. I couldn't relax in terms of like I can't be independent. I don't have financial stability. I can't decide to travel when I want to because I don't have the money. And because my parents helped me raise my son, paid for like private school and health insurance in Brazil and things like that. I didn't want to ask for more money for things like, oh, I want to go on the weekend to this place. Like, so I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
The maximum I would do was just go out with my friends,
Yeah.
which was something that I needed also to be sane
Mm-hmm.
because I like you work a lot. You need to have that moment where you can just have a good time with your friends.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Totally.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess everyone has to feel out what they're comfortable with spending on and what doesn't feel okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I talk to my students and I ask like where practicing present perfect. I'll be like, have you been to Gold Coast or have you been to Tasmania or something like this? And so many of them have never been out of the same city. And that's fine, but I think some don't even comprehend the idea, like it doesn't reach their consciousness. And sometimes I'm like, Australia is so beautiful, there's so much to see, and Brazil's so beautiful as well. But yeah, I don't know, for me travel.
Sometimes the students they have money in their savings, but they just can't afford to go to Gold Coast to Tasmania because they're like, if I spend this money, how am I going to pay my school? How am I going to renew my visa? It's a reality that it's like it's you're not like that because you want to. You are in survival mode because unfortunately you are surviving.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like you only reap the benefits of your sacrifices when everything you plan becomes a reality. Like, oh, I'm finally a permanent residency. I'm applying for my citizenship. Now I don't have to worry about these things anymore. So if I want to save money to travel, now I can. But before, I couldn't.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, yeah, it makes sense totally. Yeah, it's hard, it's hard work.
it is. It is.
Anyway, oh, we have to do the mico de inglês. Is it usually I tell the mico de inglês in Portuguese? Do you have
Uh-huh.
any micos, or do you want me to tell mine that I told you
Ooh.
last time?
Tell them yours. I have probably like 100 different ones, but I can't think of any right now. You just put me on the spot.
I did, didn't I?
So let's go with yours because yours was a good one.
Ok, eu vou trocar para português para contar esse mico. Um, eu tenho um aluno outro dia que me perguntou por que todo mundo na Austrália se chama outro do corpo? Tipo, oi, corpo! Oi, corpo!
Nem faz sentido. Quando você traduz, fica até assim, hã? Como assim? Ninguém chama ninguém de corpo.
Ai, eu acho tão engraçado. Mas na Austrália, pessoas não estão falando hi, buddy. Estamos falando hi, buddy. Buddy. Buddy é outra palavra para amigo. Hey, buddy. Um, então, é isso que eles estão falando.
Agora você imagina a pessoa sem saber isso,
É.
completamente confusa de por que que as pessoas chamam as outras de corpo. Rei corpo. Não faz sentido.
Ai, engraçado. Ok, muito obrigada, Mari, para fazer
Foi
esse
um
episódio
prazer.
comigo.
Foi um prazer estar aqui com você. Geralmente a gente guarda nossos longos debates para as nossas aulas de
Sim,
conversação, mas foi maravilhoso fazer parte do seu podcast.
foi ótimo. Ok, muito obrigada. Eu vou parar de gravar agora.